All right, so we're diving into, well, this is interesting, a document called 9/11.pdf.
Yeah.
And it's just filled with that date, page after page. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11.
No context, no explanation.
Yeah, just the date
Huh.
over and over and over again.
It's a pretty, I guess you could say a pretty bold statement.
Definitely. Definitely a bold choice.
Yeah.
And, it makes you wonder, what's the point? Like, what's the creator even trying to do here?
Right. Because, I mean, it is simple. Like, the document itself is extremely simple.
Yeah.
But you can't deny that it's impactful.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like an echo.
Yeah.
It's just repeating that date over and over in your mind. 9/11, 9/11.
It just hits you, You can't just glance at it and move on.
No, it forces you to think about it.
Yeah, you're forced to confront that date and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you ever see those war memorials that are really minimalist, just rows and rows of names.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that repetition that just hits you with the weight of it all, just thousands of names.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison, actually. Because it shows how repetition can be powerful,
Yeah.
Even without like a picture or a story.
Yeah, you don't need a narrative.
Right. It just hits you on like a visceral level.
Yeah, and it makes me think of like minimalist art, where it's all about simplicity.
Right. And repetition.
Yeah, just repeating the same shapes or colors over and over.
Yeah, exactly. To make a point, to evoke an emotion.
So do you think, is that what we're looking at here? Like, is this a piece of art?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Is it art? Or is it something else?
Yeah, it could be a political statement.
It could, yeah.
Or maybe something in between.
Yeah, I think that's what's so interesting is that the document itself, it doesn't give us the answer.
Right.
It's like this blank canvas, and we project our own interpretations of 9/11 onto it.
Yeah, so like everyone's going to have a slightly different takeaway.
Exactly. And that lack of context, it can be kind of unsettling, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can see some people even finding it offensive,
yeah.
just this date on a page.
Yeah.
But it does make you think. Like, how do I personally feel about 9/11? What does it mean to me?
Right. Because for someone who, let's say, was a child on 9/11, they're going to react differently than someone who, lost a loved one.
Oh, absolutely.
So it really is like this mirror.
It reflects.
Yeah, it reflects our own personal baggage.
Yeah.
But I think it also goes beyond the personal,
How so?
Well, it taps into our collective memory,
Right.
How some events, they just become like etched in our shared consciousness.
Right. They become part of who we are, whether we like it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like 9/11 isn't just a date anymore,
Right.
It's more like it's a symbol.
A symbol for so much.
Yeah, a whole bunch of emotions, events, like everything.
And that's exactly what makes this document so interesting, It's like it forces you to deal with that symbolism, like straight up, no distractions.
Yeah, just the date. I was thinking, what if the creator had added something else?
Like what?
Well, what if instead of just the date, like there was an image?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like just one powerful image from that day.
Yeah.
Repeated over and over. Would that change how it hits you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, an image that would definitely add another layer.
Yeah.
Could make it even more emotional, right? But it could also like box people in,
Oh, you mean like it would force a specific reaction?
Yeah, it would push people towards a certain feeling, a certain message.
Well,
Whereas just the date.
yeah, it's more open to interpretation.
Exactly.
It makes you think about your own experience with 9/11.
Right. It's more about what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your own baggage, your own understanding.
And that's actually really interesting from like a psychology standpoint.
Really?
Yeah, because it plays with this idea of priming.
What?
Yeah, like when you're exposed to something and it affects how you think and act afterwards, like subconsciously.
Oh, I see. So just seeing 9/11 over and over.
Exactly. It primes you to think about that day, even if you don't realize it.
So even if someone's like, whatever, it's just a date, their brain's already working on it,
Exactly. It's already connecting it to memories and emotions. And that's the power of this simple document,
It gets under your skin.
Yeah, it bypasses all your defenses and gets to a deeper level.
We've been talking about how this affects people individually.
Mm-hmm.
But it also has, like, a bigger picture, too, right? Like, socially and politically.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't separate 9/11 from the way it changed the world.
Yeah, like the war on terror, all the security measures, all that stuff.
Right, and Islamophobia, too. I mean, all of that is directly linked to that date, to what happened that day.
So this document, for some people, it's like a reminder of all that, like the political fallout.
Yeah. And the debates, about how 9/11 still shapes our world today.
Makes you think about what's changed, what hasn't.
And for others, it could be like a call to action.
Interesting.
Yeah, like never forget the victims or fight for justice or work to prevent something like that from happening again.
Wow, so it's not just a mirror for individuals, but for society as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. It's asking us to look at ourselves.
To look at how we've changed, how we remember, how we move on.
Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it more than just art, or a political statement.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's like a starting point for a conversation, a way to reflect on this shared trauma, and how it's still with us today.
It's amazing. Before we started, I wouldn't have thought a document with just a date could be so deep.
Yeah, it's deceiving, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Like, it seemed too simple.
Yeah.
But as we've been talking about, that's actually what makes it so powerful.
Yeah, it cuts through everything else,
Right to the core.
All the noise is gone.
Right.
And you're left with just the raw emotion, the symbolism, the weight of that date.
And it makes you realize, like, how our understanding of 9/11 is always changing, too.
Yeah, it's not just a thing of the past.
No, it's still shaping us. Our world, our lives, even if we don't always see it.
It's like someone born after 9/11, they'll have a completely different take on it than someone who was there.
Oh, definitely.
Their understanding is going to come from stories, memorials, the stuff that's still happening because of it.
Which makes me wonder, how will future generations see this document? Will 9/11 still mean the same thing to them?
That's a great question. I think it really gets at the heart of collective memory.
How so?
Well, some events, they just become part of us, passed down through generations, like in our DNA.
But memory's not fixed either, right?
No, not at all.
Like, it depends on the stories we tell, the perspectives we focus on.
Exactly.
So how we remember 9/11 now might be totally different in 50 years, 100 years.
Yeah, it's going to evolve.
And this document, in its own way, it allows for that.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't say this is what 9/11 means. It lets each person find their own meaning.
Yeah, you bring your own experiences to it.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
Imagine this document, but instead of 9/11, it's a date that means something to you personally.
Like my birthday.
Yeah, or maybe the day you graduated, or some other turning point in your life. How would that change how you see it? What would it make you feel? And how would you explain it to someone who doesn't have that same connection? Just something to ponder, to explore how memory and symbols and all our individual experiences, how they all come together. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.